All right, here we are. Town Hall number 59, CU Digital Town Hall, Wednesday, May 19th. Thank you again for everyone for attending. We want to put our sponsors up there. Our sponsors, CUNA Councils. Those folks do some fine work putting on some great conferences. John obviously is heavily involved in CUNA Councils. I go to probably almost every one of them with our CU Broadcast Studio Lounge, coming back up again as we start to get back to in-person conferences here later this year and especially next year. So kudos to the folks at CUNA Councils for putting on some great conferences. Next sponsor, Correlation, the fine folks at Correlation putting out some fantastic core processing technology for credit unions out there. Fantastic stuff that they're doing. Obviously here at CU Broadcast, delivering the news via video to you guys each day, every day. Thank you very much for watching and continue to keep checking back with us as we're doing news stories every day. And then obviously the folks at Best Innovation Group doing some fantastic stuff in the fintech space for credit unions, keeping them on the cutting edge, pardon the 90s term, but it's the only one I could think of right now. But yeah, those are our fine sponsors. We appreciate all their support and we appreciate you guys being here as well as our audience. And yeah, so let's move on. Shall we introduce our guest? Our special guest is Mr. Spiros Margaris, and I just found out he is the first international influencer to achieve the Triple Crown ranking. And I'm going to ask him about this, what exactly the Triple Crown is and what does it mean. But today we're going to be talking about the future of work. And obviously Spiros is the founder of Margaris Ventures as well. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that with him as well. So without further ado, because we got a lot of content to go through and a little bit of time. So let's bring on Spiros. Spiros, how are you, sir?
Fine, Michael. Thanks for having me, and
you're
thanks
welcome
for all the audience who's watching it.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to be on.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, it's an honor to have you here, and I want to remind folks that you're coming to us from Switzerland, and it's what, 9 o'clock there in the evening or 10 o'clock?
Yeah, no, it's 9 o'clock, but it's not that late. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, we don't want to keep you up too late. No. But thanks for making that bit of a sacrifice for us. We appreciate it. And yeah, I introduced you. You're the founder of Margaris Ventures, and you're the first international influencer to achieve the Triple Crown ranking. What is the Triple Crown ranking? What does that mean, Spiros?
That meant that at that time, 2018, I think was the #1 global fintech AI and blockchain influencer in all fields. And I've been the #1 for a while now in general, in fintech space.
Fintech, AI, blockchain, global influencer. So
that's just part of it. I'm grateful I am, but I'm primarily an investor in startups. Gotcha. I'm also involved in 2 unicorns for people that know, and involved in many startups globally.
Good deal. Anything that we would recognize off the bat here that we're
it's WeFox is an insurtech company. It's the biggest insurtech company in Europe. STC Pay is a payment company in Saudi Arabia, yes, I don't know if people would recognize them, but in the space you do. It depends.
Gotcha. All righty.
There's so many good companies out there, so it's hard.
Did I miss anything in your introduction? Do you want to do a quick?
No, perfect. Basically I will, my background, I come originally from the hedge fund industry, lived in the States for 20 years, grew up in Switzerland, Greek background. And, it's, you fall by accident into an industry, and before you know it, you're somewhere and you say, well, how did I get here? And
you've had a most interesting career up so far, and it's still on an upward trajectory for sure. So we're excited to talk to you today about the future of work. I think this is on the top of everybody's minds these days. And I just want to give a reminder out to the audience too. If you guys have any questions, feel free to either speak up or shoot us a question in the chat, and we'll present it to Spiros as well. So but I want to get a quick, just to start off here, Spiros, when we talk about the future of work, it can mean many things to many different people. But what do you see in regards to the future of work?
I think in my eyes, as you said, it can be different things for different people. In my industry is basically how technology, fintech or AI, robotics change the workforce, work environment. And that's what I see as future work. It's like, what kind of skills do you need for the future to keep working, and how to prepare for it? Because things are moving very fast.
Yeah.
As we all know, we are very much in the space, and I feel it's going too fast, even for us. I mean, not for us, but you're in the space and you love it. You love all innovation. You love the new technology that comes along. But then they think, hey, my God, can we catch up with this? And what kind of sacrifices are happening, for innovation?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, I'm very much for innovation. Don't get me wrong. But we always have to. I'm a big proponent of also thinking of the people side. I'm a big proponent of universal basic income, because that will come. Because there will be people who will fall off the grid no matter what. I mean, it's like if you ask me to play basketball, because the future is basketball, was I don't know 170. It's like 6'5" or 6. I know 5'6" I will never play basketball. So basically, all I'm saying to people is like, it's not everyone can learn the new skills we need for the future. Mm-hmm. So therefore, as a society, I'm a strong believer that I'm for technology, I'm for innovation, but I'm also for jobs for people.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to my next question is, and you talk about AI and robotics, and that's kind of your angle on it,
yes.
Impacting the future of work. So that kind of leads me to what are some of the pros and cons to AI and robotics? Because we're constantly talking about the positives of it, especially in the financial services space, on how effective AI can be in robotics and stuff. So want to get your perspective on maybe some pros and cons in that area.
I mean, obviously, all the data we have and all this, certain jobs humans could not do, because we cannot deal with thousands of customers as a person. You need the software to deal with, for instance, KYC or approval of credit cards or credit, lots of things. You need algorithms to scale. In order to deal with the inflow of data and provide your customer with certain services they want. But on the other hand, and of course, another argument is, of course, that, remember when we didn't have Excel sheets, Microsoft, we had to do everything by hand, and people were afraid that maybe accountants would lose their jobs. But it augments your skills. So AI, machine learning, and certain robotics will help us do other things, and leave certain tasks to algorithms. But for instance, as much as there's a threat to jobs through AI, machine learning, there's also the opportunity to, as I said, to do different things, and also, like the credit union, I think what's the future is advising people, like this, person to person, that's, to deal with the complexity people have. I think algorithms can't deal with certain complexities, because, they can deal with numbers. I'm 56, I have this, that. But, when you talk to certain people and you hear their stories, when they talk about their dreams, about their kids, about college, about a lot of things, it's much more complex than just numbers. And I think that's where humans come in, and besides of the numbers, they put also their, human judgment to play. Indeed. So, but nevertheless, I think people have, I think back offices, there are certain jobs which will lose jobs, because it can be automated.
Right. The repetitive tasks that you talk about.
Exactly. So those people, either you skill them up or they look for a new job somewhere, because that's not pretty talk, but that's a reality,
Right.
And it's better, I believe, as a company, you have to be, you have to be honest with people, because, then they can deal with it, But as a company, if you have great people, you should try to find a way of upskilling them, finding them different jobs. Because if you have loyal employees who believe in your company, it's so valuable. So you should train very hard. You should look very hard to find a way of finding them a new task, a new responsibility,
Yeah, that's where training comes in, and providing them with education opportunities and stuff, and to kind of really not only keep them employed, but help them advance their careers as well.
Exactly. So give them perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. I like your travel agent example. I listened to some podcasts you were on and stuff, and you gave a really good example about a travel agent. So can you give that example real quick?
Yes, I love that one. I forgot about it, but thanks for bringing it up.
Oh, sure.
It's like, I always told people, like, when you take a normal trip from San Diego to Palm Springs or to New York, you will book your flight yourself, But if you want the complexity, like a safari or something more complex, you're very happy if there's somebody who has experienced it, a travel agent who tells you, maybe you should go to this hotel because there's very nice people. This is more cozy, or this has this pool. And I think the same thing goes, the same as I always bring examples that are not relating to my industry, the financial industry, because people understand better. And we all knew some travel agent, and we are so happy to talk to travel agents if things become complex.
Right.
And the same thing in our business. If things become complex, we are happy to call somebody in a branch or somewhere who can help us. We say, hey, this is more complex. Let's show you what would be the best solution for your needs.
Yeah, that's a big trend in the industry right now, or in the credit union industry, is how the branch. I don't mean to go too far on a tangent here, but the branch has become more of a consultative environment rather than a transactional environment. So
that's the way to go.
Talk to people. Yeah, exactly. So,
and I don't think branches will disappear completely, but they will disappear if it's only a transactional space, because then you don't need them. But if it's a space, look at the Apple shop. There was a computer company, Gateway, I think.
Yeah,
doesn't exist. They were before, they had their own shops. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And when Apple came, I remember I was in America then. People thought also before, will that work? but they made it really work, because it's about giving customers a great experience, giving them an environment where help is given, but basically they don't ask for you to buy something. Indirectly, you will buy because you're happy and you want something, but there's no pressure. You go there, I have this problem. They're very nice. They know how to sell it, the great advice.
Yeah.
And once you feel so comfortable, say, hey, I'm here. Why not buy something?
Exactly. Yeah, and take your kids there too. My kids love it. So they sit down and they play on the iMac, and they have the games going and stuff.
And nobody looks strange at you, because and the same could happen, and it's happening with branches. And I think credit unions, what I love about credit unions is it's almost like It's a Wonderful Life. Remember the movie with Jimmy Stewart?
Oh yeah. Every Christmas.
Exactly. And I think that's a magic we all wish we would find in banks, and credit unions, I think, have a little bit of that, of being a place where, it's not all about profits. It's basically almost about the community.
Sure.
And yes, because I like that. I like that very much.
Well, and I think that's the credit union way. Is the member service. Credit unions are known for their member service.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's really easy to get lost in the digital aspect of it, as we saw the last 12 months, where the digitization of everything ramped up to warp speed because we had to, and that kind of personal service fell back a little bit. But I think as things open back up again, credit unions will definitely get back to that. So that's kind of seems like the yin and the yang of the credit union, of the digitization of it.
Yes.
And I keep calling it phygital, where's the balance between the physical aspect of it and the digital aspect of it? And so that's where we are now, especially kind of in a new workplace, or the future of work. So
I mean, there's a huge trend, obviously, future work. I mean, if you look at Twitter and other companies which allow their employees to work from home, but it's a technology company, it's different. I think you have to understand what you kind of offer. If I offer perfect pancakes, I can't do it remotely. They have to come to me, or I have to bring it to them. It's like a credit union, whatever you are. You have to understand first, what do we stand for, and why are people coming to us? Once you know, then of course, then you can mix it in a way that it suits your company and your customer. For Twitter, it doesn't matter that people work from anywhere, because I don't go to Twitter, for instance, as a company to meet some person at the headquarters. But if I go to a credit union, I expect this kind of personal thing. And I think might sound like a consultant, but it's just basically you have to understand who you are in order to be able to provide services to others. And then and I think even through this technology, what credit unions have to do, and they already do, but they have to do even more. They have to really think how to partner with more startups, fintech startups, to provide that kind of service as well. It doesn't exclude the branch, it doesn't exclude this personal touch. But I think certain times you also want that. You don't want to book online, you also want the travel agent.
Exactly. I want to switch gears here a little bit here on how COVID kind of accelerated things in this area of the future of work. How did the pandemic change things, affect things, impact things in this area? And where are we now with it? Because obviously we all saw the acceleration of digital services because we had to, but how did COVID kind of impact things in this area?
Good and bad. Bad in terms of, no, let's start with the good.
Sure.
Let's start with the good. The good thing is that corporations were forced to force the employees to stay at home, to protect them, so they did things that they haven't thought would be possible before, because of trust, because of lots of things. But the bad thing might be that a corporation might think, oh, maybe we don't need as many people, maybe they don't need to see, we don't need as many people in the office, or let's it has the yin yang, you said, it gives people some freedom, but on the other hand, through the realization that it is possible to operate your company, although people are spread all over, it gives you also think, oh, maybe I don't need them all, it's like, but so we don't know yet. It's like the side effects. We will find out in a few years how it will evolve further. But definitely, I would not buy office space. That's for sure.
I was thinking the same thing.
Although there's one argument even for that. They say, oh yes, office space will still be popular because people will need more distance between each other. But I don't think. I think once that the genie is out of the bottle, that it's possible to do it like that. And without COVID, this COVID was like the crisis we didn't need, but big companies needed to innovate, the digital transformation.
Right.
They needed more cloud services, they needed more security, lots of things, which would have taken a long time to do, because it's like human beings. When do we change? We change if we have to. It's otherwise it's like, say, maybe I postpone the change. Well, I like the way I am.
Right. Well, we didn't have a choice in the last 12 months.
No, we didn't.
So that kind of brings me to like the future of jobs for people. And you touched on this a little bit earlier. So what do they do? Because obviously a lot of the repetitive tasks may be taken away because of the AI and the machine learning and the robotics and whatnot. So And you said it would be a scary world if we only had machines and humans had nothing to do. So
absolutely,
I want to get your take on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not a world I want to live in. It's like, I like friction a little bit, as much as we don't like it sometimes. So I like to go to work. I like to have some problems. I mean, not too big, and if everything is taken away from us, I mean, there will be social unrest. I mean, we need universal basic income. I'm a strong believer in this.
Right.
But that's not good enough, because we're still experimenting with this, for people who don't know, because we need meaning in life. It's not only about money. It's about having a meaning. When you talk to your son or your kids or wherever, to have some, I've done this in my life. I've done this for society. And, but we go in the direction of, I'm very certain that fewer people will find jobs. I think we go into that direction, and we so for the people who are fortunate enough to have either tech skills or personal skills, they will probably still do fine, but there will be a lot of people who fall through the crack, which is bad for everyone, because the stronger the middle class, the better for all of us. So I give a good example. Sure. I'm not a believer in electric cars. I think it's great, but there's also studies out there, if you push for electric cars, a lot of jobs will be lost because you don't need them. You don't have repairs. You don't need as many people to put the car together. So therefore, it's a trade-off between having innovation and jobs. And it's controversial now, I'd rather have a little polluted air, but people around me having jobs, than having clean air and people don't have jobs.
Right.
These are extremes I'm explaining, but
yeah, of course.
Those are things we have to balance. And that's MySpace, fintech, etc. People don't think about it, because a startup thinks of, how do I succeed? How do I become bigger at all costs? But I think governments, it's probably government's role to take to put that spotlight as well on it. I'm not for government, but I'm not against it. But it's like the balance.
It serves its purpose for sure. And the thing that, when you're talking about something like that, and we've all seen over the years that, I'm just using my career as an example. Please. When I first started out, it's like, oh, here's this tool that's going to automate this task, and you'll have more time to do this or that, or more free time. I've been hearing this my entire career, and I've been, in the workforce for 30 years now, but it seems like I'm busier than ever. I have more work than ever. And I'm very thankful for it, but all these tools and all this software, all these tech stuff that was supposed to save me tons of time, it's filled up with work to do. So that, to me, it hasn't really changed anything. So, do you see that the robotics and the AI and all the machine learning really having that drastic of an approach to where people won't have jobs?
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but I think it's inevitable. Depends, as I said, back office, repetitive jobs, but maybe they learn different skills. But I think at the beginning, remember when we had the iPad and all this stuff, we still printed a lot of paper, right? Because we didn't need to, but somehow it felt good to have this kind of paper, to have the paper as well. Maybe it's transition, maybe it's a generational thing, But it's definitely something. I think it's a responsibility of a company to try to balance innovation and job guarantee.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
I think it's a nice thing to do. And even if I make a little less money, but the job security, there's not a job security per se, but you know what I mean. Like, if you believe that your company is trying very hard to allow you to keep food on your table.
Right. So I think that leads me to like job training or retraining or training in being a specialist at somewhere. that to me seems like it would really ramp up and be quite popular and possibly quite lucrative as well, as you're retraining these people so they don't lose their jobs, so they can continue with their careers.
And also advance the company. It's, you help the people,
right,
and the people indirectly help you advance, it's, I think those are the things we should discuss. Lots of people should discuss this, and it would be stupid to say it's not an issue. People are not employed, they know it's an issue. And there are a lot of smart people who are not employed. It's not, sometimes it's just circumstances and what a lot of factors that play in.
Mm-hmm. Can you bring this discussion to the financial services industry?
Yes.
So like, we have tellers, we have loan representatives, we have obviously the C-suite, we have advisors, investment advisors, that type of stuff. So how do you see those jobs evolving, or even the workplace of a bank, or in this case, a credit union? How do you see that evolving with all the products and stuff out there, all the AI?
There was just a study coming out from Wells Fargo just a few days ago. And basically the study said something which I think maybe it's even conservative. It said 200,000 banking jobs will be lost in the next 10 years.
Wow.
And I think maybe even more, you know. And the one thing the analyst said, he would not recommend to his child to go into the financial industry.
Good grief.
Because we are very much into profitability. We are very much of using technology to reduce workforce, and rightfully and wrong, but it's something, just a trend. I mean, it's also the competition, fintech competition, tech giants, a lot of competition around them that forces you to become more nimble at costs. But the 200,000, I mean, some of those will be because they retire, but they won't be replaced. And about you mentioned before the credit union advisors, they always will be needed.
Right.
At least I think that's the last person you're going to cut, a good advisor, or somebody within a credit union who is a tech savvy, because you need technology as well. I mean, you can't foreclose yourself of technology. I mean, the technology is there to enable them. You have to move with time, because otherwise, I mean, the next generation of customers, they will expect certain things to see in other places. Like, with the Apple iPhone, as an example, if you don't get an iPhone or something similar, you don't feel like you have a good tool at hand. And the same thing, the technology, if you like it or not, will also influence credit union's brand, So they should have those advisors, but maybe enable them with more tools, and training them with more things that are out there. Yes.
So it sounds like there's a cost to the efficiency of the tasks that we're trying to make faster, make everything faster. We want the one touch. We want the Amazon experience. We want the Uber experience. But it sounds like there might be a cost to having that experience and the automation of it all, because that possibly could cut some people out. And so again, we're back to square one here and retraining people, and so they don't.
Absolutely. I mean, it's good that we talk about this. I mean, people know it as well, but sometimes if they hear from somebody else, it sinks in. I think that's a reality, and it's much better as credit union leader to say, look, those are the things we will be doing, those things we have to do, like adapting new technologies. And some people will fall off the grid, but we will try everything possible so it won't happen. But it's a reality. And people can deal with this, with this truth. It's like, because if you don't tell people the truth, they will sense it, say, my God, they're using AI, machine learning. So basically, we're going to be out of a job, and there will be passive resistance to advancing technology, Those exist. It's like, oh, great, you bring it in, but they will make everything possible to slow down the implementation of it. But if you spin it rightfully, spin it because you mean it, say, hey, we have to adapt to new technology in order to stay competitive and to provide our members with the services they deserve and they expect. That's a magic. It's like, if somebody goes to a branch and it feels like, oh, I can do it from home, but certain things I can't, but I can't go there. It's perfect. It's like, there's nothing missing.
Exactly. Can you talk real briefly on the remote work, something that we've all gotten used to in the last year, and how companies are coming to grips with it, or we're kind of in a in-between phase right now where some are coming back to work, some aren't. And how is that going to shake out in the future of work? Do you think a lot of companies are going to like, okay, hey, we found out that, working from home or working remotely can work, and it does. People are still productive. And so what's your take on that as we kind of,
I think
time?
People who work hard at work will also work hard at home. And people who don't work hard at work will probably not work very hard at home. Simple as that.
Right. You're right about that.
I'm afraid so. But the side effect is that companies are not stupid. So basically they will put systems in place to see, hey, is he looking at the screen? Is he touching the keyboard? So basically you will start punishing the good people.
Right.
Because the good people work anyway without somebody checking on them. But so basically you have to put measures on for people who do not work so hard. It's like, there's some people in a hospital, for instance, who work without a timestamp, But there's some people who abuse it and they leave earlier, for instance. So basically because of those people who abuse it, everyone gets punished.
Right. One bad apple spoils the whole barrel.
Exactly. But that's a one thing. Then the work ethics, but there's measure for that. And then, of course, it's the cybersecurity issues. That's a big thing. We're very connected. As we saw now with the hack of the pipeline and gasoline price went up, in America. This is a new reality. And that's a scary thing, for lots of companies, also probably for credit union, because everyone can be hacked.
Right. Well,
just once they put the focus on you, they will hack you. No matter, it just can control the damage.
Right. Yeah, we experienced that out here in San Diego. A big hospital network out here called Scripps Hospital was hacked, and they're still going through it. It's been almost 2 weeks now that it was a ransomware attack, and I actually had a physical scheduled last week, but they canceled it. So it's a big mess
because they can't get you data, they can't operate, and everything gets postponed. The damage is done already, and then you wonder, although you should not pay, if it wouldn't have been better to pay. Although it's not a good, but at the end of the day, if you're pro, probably you have to balance between pros and cons.
Sure.
But hospitals are big targets because it's just that's the biggest issue we all have is through this connectivity, through this technology we put into our lives. We become very vulnerable.
Yeah. And that's the future now, so talking about the future of work, I mean, that's one of the things we got to think about is the vulnerability of our organizations, and with people working remotely or keeping, the fraudsters at bay the best we can. That's part of the future of work. So companies have to.
But Michael, one other thing is, I think it was good if people worked at the office, because you see each other, you can talk about things, it's as much as we can Zoom. It's not the same as when we drink a cup of coffee or, it's just this real interaction. can't be replaced by remote work.
Right.
And I really believe that, strong believer. And that's, that speaks also again for the credit unions and branch approach, that the real things you want to talk person to person,
And that's where the creativity happens. That's where the brainstorming happens. That's why people are so anxious to get back to conferences and stuff, because they semi enjoyed watching them on Zoom or online, but
it's not the same thing.
Exactly. The real action happens at the, in the lobby after a session, and people are brainstorming, hey, what did you think about what that person said? Or that's where the real
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so this remote work, I think corporations some of them will realize it might be good to force people a few days back to the office.
Sure.
I think as much as they like maybe to save office space rent, etc., but to feel like a family, that's a nice way to put it. You have to be together. You can't. I mean, you can talk to your wife, to your kids, remote, because you already have the relationship.
Right.
But there's nothing like embracing each other or seeing each other, have a cup of coffee. And this is family stuff, but it's the same for companies. Great companies, people feel a loyalty, feel like, you spend more time at work than you spend at home. So therefore, it's a privilege if you go to a place where you feel like, oh, it's a nice place here for me. It's like, it provides meaning to my life. It provides food on the table of my family, lots of things. And I'm doing something great, a great solution that people love. Yep. It's like, makes you very proud.
Yeah.
It's almost like commercial, but the commercials usually try to, of course, they try to sell you something, but they try to extract the essence of what we want to achieve. No?
Yep.
As a company, at least that's a goal. If we could achieve to make customers really happy buying our product or listen to us in order to buy something.
Yeah, and even before the pandemic, I did a number of stories on how to create a positive culture in your workplace, how to create a productive culture. It's all about culture, which I completely believe in as well. And to what you're saying, it's really hard to create a culture when you have people working remotely.
Impossible.
And not in an office space. It's impossible to do.
Oh, at least that's extreme. At least it's not going to be a strong culture. It's a detached culture. Exactly. Yeah, beautiful said. Removed. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, we know each other. It's like between colleagues and friends.
Right.
They're colleagues, they're friends. The friends are a little closer.
Yeah.
You can, and so therefore, I think they, although they can force employees to work from home, I think a lot of companies will realize that let's bring them home. It's a nice saying, bring them home.
Bring them home to the office?
Yes. And give it, at least a few days in the week.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, it should be interesting to see how things shake out this year and next year in that area as things start to open up again. I wanted to talk about something else that we talked about before everyone got on.
Tell me.
And it was about boredom. I love your commentary on boredom. And there were probably a bunch of us who were bored the last 12 months because we weren't in the office space and whole lot to do. We were, boring our brains on Netflix and things like that. But tell me about what's your on boredom and boredom and creativity. Let's put it at that. So
it's I think it's extremely important to be bored.
Okay.
Because you do things you would not do otherwise. Because oh my God, I'm so bored. Let's read this book. Oh, I'm so bored. Let's clean up something, or be creative. I think it's extremely important. And the problem is with this thing here, that people are not bored anymore.
Yeah,
I include myself, because if I'm bored a little bit, I will touch my iPhone or iPad or computer and get some information, or I watch some TV. So basically, I'm constantly fed, so I'm not hungry anymore.
Right. Oh, good point.
And if I'm not hungry anymore, then we have a problem, become lazy, fat. And the same thing with people. I think, I remember I come from a working class family. I'm privileged now, and they worked hard. I didn't have much, but whatever I had, what was magic?
Yeah.
I had this plastic scuba diver, and it became for me Superman. He couldn't even move his arms. Nothing. It was like one thing. It basically was a scuba diver. But for me, I moved it, etc. As an example, personally, made it whatever I wanted to be. Superman or Spider-Man could not be. But so therefore, I think it's important to allow people to be bored. I mean, it's good for everyone.
Oh yeah,
because you're really forced to open up creativity.
Right,
to think,
exactly.
hey, my God, I have to do something to get out of this.
Well, I see it as, like you said with the phone, you're constantly consuming, not creating. And so the boredom, I think what you're getting at is the boredom will prompt you to go do something, to create something, to
get out of this.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and then magical things are happening. And the thing I would like to say, Michael, is we all try to provide our customers with a great user experience, and a great user experience is something you don't have to think about it. It's like you get a new product, you don't have to read anything in order to use it. But what happens is, if we really think this through, we become like in the movie WALL-E. Remember WALL-E?
Oh yeah,
Pixar.
Oh, yeah. Love that one.
That just became fat, but we also become fat in our mind, and we forget to start thinking. So therefore, friction is good, but that's the bad thing about the trend we're heading. We're heading into a trend. We're not going to be able to stop it easily, or maybe we'll never. We take away everything from people in order to make their lives easier. But at the end of the day, if I don't have to lift anything anymore, there would be no muscle building.
Right, atrophy.
And so same thing in our but that's just a general trend. We can't stop, I'm afraid. But it just, I see it as a problem. Remember when in our generation we knew how to calculate in our head. At least some of us. But people can't do this anymore because it's no use for them anymore. They use a calculator, or you speak to Siri. I shouldn't say it too loud. Otherwise, it respond to me.
For sure.
So, but going back to the credit union, I think the huge advantage they have is this personal touch. As much as the whole world goes into digital, even more we need the human touch.
Right.
That's very important.
One of my last questions to you was advice to credit unions regarding the future of work. So what's your advice there as we kind of
quickly is people would love to work from remote, but you can't allow them for the whole week. I don't allow, but it would be quality to give to people. Say you can work 1 or 2 days from home.
Sure.
Because, and the rest you work at the office, and emphasize, training, upskilling your people, to become even better advisors, and also use the digital tools we have, And the last thing, of course, is partnering with Fintechs or software companies to provide the missing link. You can't develop everything yourself.
Right. Right.
As it's like Steve Jobs said, but Steve Jobs and Picasso said it before him. A good art is steal, great art is good art is copy, great art is steal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good word, steal, but you have to look around what other great companies do and say, hey, this might work for us. Just don't look at your small universe. Look around,
right,
and say, what can we use to make what we do even better? You don't have to give up what you do. Just have to look around and say, hey, maybe this fintech is great. Maybe this way of advising people, maybe the Apple shop, in some ways, we can copy some of those ideas,
Mm-hmm.
And be true yourself, because, at the end of the day, people come to you for a certain reason, but be open for the future, because, the next generation will be much more tech savvy. So
of course,
you have to go with the flow. You can't, but at least you go with your style.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the next generation is all about this thing. So, and
yes,
taking it one step further at some point as well. So, and it's all about video, and that's.
But even so, all right, it's about videos, but at least for the people, in order not to lose them, you still can give them this personal experience as much as possible. You can't force them to come to the branch, but at least they can talk to you like we talk now.
Right.
And they know, if I want to see Michael, I will come to the office, which is a nice thing. I say, hey, Michael, I would like to see you in person, but you have both. Because the person on the other side, it's a real person. It's not somebody somehow remote. It's somebody from the office. So it's basically, it's like, hey, we're here for you if you want to come, but we're also here if you want to go with this medium. I think that would be a good lesson.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the balance of having that the physical, and the digital. So
beautiful said.
You want to have that you want to have that human connection to talk to. I think you said it before as well, is that people crave to talk to people. They crave to talk to somebody. But at the same time, if it's an easy, repetitive task, then they'll leave that up to the technology tool to do that for them. But at some point, it's like you said, the advisor versus the transaction. So they want to talk to somebody. So it's that finding that balance.
I mean, look at with this COVID, how we long to see people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And the appreciation we have if we can talk with people without a mask and with this, it's nice.
Indeed.
We're longing for that. And I think people will long for advisors to, I think to help them take the next step for the future.
Agreed. All right, Spiros. Anything else you want to address on this? Any trendy type stuff? Anything that's coming across your your brain?
We discussed cybersecurity. We discussed, I think we discussed enough.
We discussed
at least a lot, and maybe we repeated some things, but at the end of the day, it's like a puzzle. We have to put the pieces together to make the picture seen. And what we did is, I think we added a lot of puzzles on the topic future of work.
Yeah.
And it's not complete yet, but I think we tried at least to give people an audience a view how it could look like the future of work.
Giving them an idea, some sort of roadmap. So, because all this stuff is unprecedented.
Absolutely. Uncharted territory.
No doubt. So where can folks find you, Spiros? If they want to follow you on Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever?
On Twitter works very well, Spiros Margaris.
Okay.
Or my website, Margaris Ventures. But
okay. Very cool.
People can Google me easily.
Okay, yes, that's what I did.
You see
stuff out there. That's how I got some of these questions. So good stuff. All right, Spiros. Well, I know it's getting late in your neck of the woods, and so we
thank you very much.
Time, and I hope everybody enjoyed our discussion. And if you guys have any questions or whatever, email us, and we can send them to you if you want to, maybe quick responses or something like that.
Absolutely.
If something pops into your head after this is over, more than happy to accommodate you guys. So we thank you so much for being here today, Spiros. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
And I wanted to thank everyone who joined us and the show, and you, Michael, and everyone behind the scene for making it happen.
Oh, our pleasure. It is an honor. We look forward to having you back, Spiros. That'd be fun too.
Thank you very much. It would be my
Spiros.
pleasure.
Be well, be safe. Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All righty, everybody. That's it for today. We appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week. John will be back and for another fantastic digital town hall. Thank you very much for attending and hope you guys got something out of it. And again, if you have any questions, give us a shout and we'll send them on over to Spiros as well. So thanks again. Appreciate it. See you in 7 days.